Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Canadian Shield. My name is Sterling. I'm your host. We're going to be covering a couple of things in this episode. We're going to talk about the government closing down the websites that are posting anything that has to do with Pierre Poilievre's contention that the German Socialist Nationalist Party, also known as Nazis, was a far-left socialist organization. The rail workers have been ordered back to strike, though they say that they're going to protest at the courthouse, so there's still things to be happening there. I think that Jagmeet Singh is now going to be put on the hot seat because he was talking pretty big talk when he was standing on the lines with them and holding up his hands, and now that they've been put back to work, it's only going to blow up on him. I mean, we always knew that the Liberal Party wasn't for the common middle-class person. However, Jagmeet's entire platform is riding on this. So will he initiate a no confidence vote? We'll see. Also, and saving the best for last, Justin Trudeau decided that he should be your landlord, that solving the problem of housing and home ownership is just by letting Justin Trudeau be your landlord. All right, before I get into it, I would encourage you all to like, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell, share this channel with all of your socials. I also have memberships if you wish to support the channel further. All right, we're going to begin with one of the more controversial goings on from over the weekend. There was a thing called Black Ribbon Day, which is a significance of all people that have been harmed by totalitarianism and authoritarianism and despotism and tyranny. And it basically comes out of the Second World War, but it has grown to encompass all tyrants, including Adolf and Stalin. Now, Pierre Poilievre did a post on X, and it reads like this: on the 85th anniversary of Black Ribbon Day, we remember the victims of Soviet socialism and National Socialism, which he then puts in brackets, Nazism. May we never forget the countless atrocities committed by these socialist ideologies, and may we honor those who fought to liberate Europe. Canada must always stand against socialism for freedom and democracy. Now, the mainstream media is not commenting on this because Google is not allowing the stories to be run. And I have a little snippet of posting that I can show you. In my attempts to be neutral and to be thorough, I went looking for what the far leftists have to say about this posting that has got X on fire, but is quiet everywhere else. And I did first I looked in Google News, the little default tab, because that's where you'll find all of the government-approved media. And there was nothing. So then I went ahead to the main page and I did a search, and I got 4 answers. 3 of which are from more of a year ago. But the first one, the top one there, says, since he thinks, you can read it yourself what it says. It's all trite, so I don't really want to repeat it. However, if you read down the bottom, it says there some results may have been delisted consistent with local laws. So what do you mean consistent with local laws? And that's just a fancy way of saying we have censored what you're allowed to see because your IP tells me you're in Canada. I found that to be shocking. The Liberal Party is saying, the CRTC is saying that they're not initiating these laws yet, that they're not doing anything of that nature, that C11 and C63 are just sitting quietly waiting, and we haven't started yet. I don't agree. C18, they are all in full swing, and this posting can prove it to you. What I really like is how it only proves what Pierre Poilievre is saying. If it wasn't the truth, they would be losing their minds. They would be screaming from the top of the mountaintop. But they know that it's fact. They know that the Nazis are far left and socialist. They know that it was the right wing that saved Europe. It was the right wing that saved Asia. They just want to misconceive everybody so that they can have people fighting against one another. So if they say nothing, then they let the far left run rampant on X and spread all kinds of foolishness, get their bots up and running. They won't have to look bad. But anything that is being said against that, anything that is being said in support of what Pierre Poilievre has to say is also being censored. You see? So I find it very bizarre that the term says consistent with local laws, which has to be C18 or C11, which the CRTC and the Liberal government says, no, we're not going to start doing that yet. Clearly they are. But the far left on X is trying so desperately to, like, the cope is ridiculous. This idea, they tell themselves that this isn't true, right? They're telling themselves they want you to believe that Nazis weren't socialists. It's right in the name, right? The National Socialist German Workers' Party. Let's not forget that World War II began with the Stalin and Hitler on the same team, right? It was Stalin, Hitler, and Italy all on the same team. And so that's because they are, all three of their ideologies are rooted in Marxism. All three of them are rooted in Marxism. And people don't want to admit that to themselves. People want to tell themselves that there's some ideal that they can achieve. Now, there are some primary differences. One of the largest differences between the Nazi and the socialist was the ethnic cleansing, and the Nazis like to tie big government and big business together, which is why whenever you hear about somebody who's famous now, they were a part of the party, because that's how it works, right? So you hear, oh, Volkswagen, that guy was a part of the party. Yeah, because they tie big business and big government together. Now, if you look around Canada, is there any single solitary political party that you can see that is trying to tie big business and big government together? Just ask yourself that question. Just think about your way through it. Well, the Canadian Industrial Relations Board didn't take long in ending the lockout. They went ahead and, I think it took like 20 hours or something. They just went ahead and initiated all of the requests that the Liberal government had put toward them. I think that really what is important is the same organization just said 2 weeks ago that the rail is not essential. So if it's not essential, why are you forcing them back to work? If it's not essential, then the strike should be permitted to go forward and let the big business have to deal with the strike. But now you're forcing the workers back to work, which allows the big business off the hook, which allows big business to get away with all of the things that they have been doing. It's only them that are going to end up looking bad, right? And of course, the real point that I'm trying to make is that this being an essential infrastructure, an essential service, means that it shouldn't be in the hands of private industry. It should be in the hands of public. It should be in the public interest, because it's in the public's interest that it run and flow smoothly. That's the reality of when it's an essential service versus just a service. And when you take shareholders who are just trying to make money off of an essential service like electricity, like transportation infrastructure, you put the population at the mercy of a very few select people. However, for some reason, this board 2 weeks ago said this wasn't an essential service. And then all of a sudden, come Thursday to Saturday, the changes were just rapid. Now, I've taken this from the Teamsters press release. In Montreal, the Canadian Industrial Relations Board has ruled to allow Federal Labour Minister Steve McKinnon to end job action in Canada's rail sector and impose binding arbitration. The union will lawfully comply with the CIRB decision. The Teamsters will also be appealing the ruling to federal court. Now, that will be interesting, because what they are going to have to do to go back to federal court is challenge Section 107 of the Labor Code. And if Section 107 of the Labor Code is deemed to be unconstitutional, which when I read it, it probably will be, because it's all one-sided, right? You have to, there's two sides you have to consider, and 107 is very arbitrary. It gives one guy all of the juice. No matter which politics, whether it be a Liberal, NDP, Québécois, it doesn't matter. If that individual decides for whatever reason that everybody should do it their way, and you can't have that, right? That's not, I mean, they do that in countries like China, if that's the country that you want to live in. Okay, so saving the best for last. The Liberal Party is meeting in Halifax right now. They're doing their little, before the House sits again caucus meetings and strategizing, and they're talking about who's going to take over what portfolio and who's going to vote for who in what upcoming leadership race. They're making little plans. They're talking behind each other's backs. They're doing all the things that parties that are starting to collapse always do. Before they went into this behind closed doors little session, though, they wanted to make everybody talk about something else. So Justin Trudeau put up on X the most ridiculous little 60-second clip, which I won't try to link here because they'll say, or I'll link it down in the description, but I won't put in this video because they'll try and ding me for not fair use, which is weird because it was all done with government cameras and government. Anyway, I won't get into it. What I will talk about is the clip itself is talking about the liberal idea of they will take that federal land that Pierre Poilievre had suggested that should be sold off for developers can build apartments. And they want to sell you, they want to make you think that they're going to give these same developers a long-term lease. Now that's because the liberal government desperately wants to try to tie big business and big government together, just like they did in 1930s Germany. They want desperately to control the people. So if they sell you the land, they don't have any control. But if they say, no, we're the long-term lease owners, they can now build the building in their ideological vision. No parking lot, shared laundry, one bus that comes around. If that bus breaks down, forget about it. You're going to have to walk. Roller parks, skates, and roller skating. The store will come by. You'll only be able to order your food offline. Don't worry about it. The government will supply you enough internet to make these orders, and they will check every keystroke that you're saying. They want to be able to put the high density and then lease the land to the builder, right? So now the builder is coming in to build on the land that the government owns, and they're going to build townhouses and high rises and immense high density in all of these different postal areas. And, they're talking about a lot of post offices, right? Which are always centrally located. So think about that. And then they're going to just throw up a 50-story building in the middle of a nice, quiet little town, bring a whole bunch of people in, dump them in there. You've seen it happen. You've seen it in France. You've seen it in England. You've seen it in Germany. You watch it transpire in every country except for Poland and Hungary, who both said no. And as Canadians, we also should say no. But can you imagine where this goes, right? No parking lot. So you don't need a car if you live on the government property. And if something goes wrong and you need it repaired, don't worry about it. The government will fix it in 6 to 8 months. If something goes wrong and you need the garbage picked up, don't worry about it. The government will get to it when they get to it. Think of all of the things that the government mismanages. Think of all of the times that the government is behind schedule. You really want them to be your landlord? Do you really want them to say, whatever happens on that property, you need my permission? You want to put up a snowman? Forget about it. You want to put up a Santa Claus? Ain't no way. Everything that happens on that, is my permission. You're not allowed to use Tide. You have to use the government-approved laundry soap because it's better for the weeping of the septic tanks. Every house only has one bathroom. You're not allowed to make any improvements. It's all a rental. It's lifetime rentals. And your government will always have control of the land. I swear, that's the video that he put up. I'll leave a link. Can you imagine in your mind letting any of the government that you know control they basically want to be your HOA? No, thank you. I mean, they handle so many of the other problems in Canada so well that that's got to turn out just perfect. Come on. All right, I'm going to wrap here. I want to thank you all for listening. I'll talk to you next time.